Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another edition of First Look. And in this edition of First Look, I'll be doing First Look UFC Fight Night, Sandhagen versus Font. And let me try to remember. I think I got four. I don't got five for this one. I got four. They're just off the top, like four ones that stick out to me. So the first one I think is Ignacio Bahamondes versus Ludovic Klein. I think Bahamondes is minus 205 right now. And I think that's pretty good value. I'm not gonna say bet the house value or whatnot, but it's a good value. I think it's a good value given all things to have him at money line. Put a decent investment on. I ain't gonna say no crazy investment, a couple units, 3 units, 4 units maybe, but I ain't saying like bet the house on you. You feel like that's personally, or you feel confident of that, do it. But I feel that's good. Thing. Somebody else might feel like, oh, that's a pick 'em fight, but I think it's like just by following Double Klein, I feel like all his fights he struggles with length. And Bob Mondes is probably one of the best strikers that he has fought, if not the best striker he has fought with length. The issue is going to be Bob Mondes grappling, if that becomes a factor. But Ladova Klein hasn't really shown much to with his grappling more so with his wrestling outside of getting a couple takedowns, no real submission threat, but getting takedowns and just like I said, really can edge a close fight. And even the fight that he really needed it to edge a close fight, he lost them. Like Mike Trezano, he tried to wrestle on that one. He had some decent success, but all he did was get some weak control time, no real ground and pound, no submission attempts. So it's just one of those cases. So I can see if Ladova Klein actually had a real good ground and pound or real good control or submission threat. That'd be a factor. But I just feel like it'd be a case of he might get some decent takedowns. He might even be at the edge of round out. But I just think eventually it's going to come down to the fact that he's just going to get outstruck. So at minus 200 and also with 3 fights now, well, this is the third fight. It's 2 fights. It's been Trezano and it's been his last fight that he should have lost, but I think they made it a draw or something. I forget what happened. I think it was a no contest or a draw. Jai Herbert, yeah, Jai Herbert was picking him apart. He was on his way to losing that one for sure, pretty clear. So yeah, so both times he fought a guy with length, like guys with length over him in the UFC that were the more technical strikers he had struggled. And that was at 45, and that was also at 55. So I like Ignacio Bahamondes at minus 200 in that position. I don't know if the odds gonna shift, but at minus 200 where it is right now, I like that a lot. Then the next one I'm gonna mention is I think it's at he was at minus 140. No, he's at plus. No, he's at minus 145, I believe right now. It's Diego Lopez versus Gavin Tucker. I think this is a good value. You got this almost near pick'em right now. Near, it's not really near. I mean, it's close enough. It's in the minus. This is in the hundreds. Only a couple off. And you possibly could get it in the distance. I think when you look at Gavin Tucker, he typically loses by a finish. I don't think as far as in the UFC, he hasn't lost by any other means besides finish. So it's likely if he loses one, it will be by finish. But another you could say the way he lost has typically been by TKO or KO TKO, and Lopez will likely finish him by submission if he does finish him. So it's definitely open, but I think minus 140 is a good value. Is it like going to be the super confident pick? Probably not. But given the fact that Gavin Tucker is 37 years old, been inactive for a long time. Every time he loses, he take 2 years off, and he's 37. He's only gonna get older by the time by the time they fight. He will only be older by the time they fight. He ain't gonna get younger in his between time. I think he's the overall more technical fighter, but I think Diego Lopez could definitely crack him on the feet, and I think Diego Lopez can definitely open up the submission threat, especially if he hurts him. It could be a club and sub or the reaction to set up a submission, but yeah, either way, I just think Diego Lopez. I'm not saying he's a phenomenal fighter, but I think he's a solid enough fighter, and he's a much younger fighter, and he's going there with a guy who's 37 and been taking, coming off another long layoff, and who's been chinny and subject to be finished. I think this is a good spot for Diego Lopez. So yeah, at minus 140, I think that's a very good value for that. Third one, yeah, never mind. I'll just do three. The quickie pick's coming soon enough, and I'm on had that fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth one. So yeah, the third one will be Carlston Harris versus Jeremiah Wells, and I just think there's a lot of different factors in this one. Jeremiah Wells has been continually winning. Like he hasn't been far from textbook, but he's been winning. So people gonna be confident about that. He's been winning. Far from textbook, far from I guess what you're supposed to do. But at the end of the day, he's been doing what you want to do, and that is winning. What you're supposed to do, he's not doing, but what you want to do and what you need to do, he's winning. So that's all that matters to people. But in this one, Carlton Harris is getting slept on a little bit. I think right now he had like plus 145, plus 135. And I think he's a very good dog. He's the much longer fighter. I think he's the more technical striker, and he's the more technical grappler. Both these guys have been chinned in the past, but Carson Harris will have that huge reach advantage, huge height advantage, and I think a huge skill, not a huge skill, but a notable skill advantage. It ain't huge, but it's noticeable. Notable and noticeable, the skill gap on the feet and on the ground. And Wellington, I was about to say Wellington, but Jeremiah, yeah, I'm combining names, Wellington Thurman, but Jeremiah Wells is he's not coming off the best win. Like he barely got over Matthew Semelsberger. Not to say Semelsberger is a bad fighter now that he lost. I picked him to lose, but not to say that he's a bad fighter or anything. But Semelsberger really could have beat him if he fought a smarter fight. He kept allowing himself to come in and get taken down and do this and that. Or when he did have him hurt, he went for takedowns. Like it was just a poorly fought fight. That if he would have fought smarter, he probably should have finished Jeremiah Wells. But you know, apples and oranges. But I think Carson Harris definitely had the power to hurt and put away put away Jeremiah Wells, and he has the skills on the ground to submit Jeremiah Wells, and he has the length that he should be able to use. He got the power, and his only loss in the UFC was to Shavkat Rakhmonov. And people act like I don't know. It feels like he lost more fights, but he only has lost one fight, and that's what would Shavkat Rakhmonov do to Jeremiah Wells? The same exact thing, maybe worse. So can't hold that loss against him too much. It was Jeremiah Wells undefeated in the UFC, but hasn't fought no level of Shavkat Rakhmonov. But back to this one, I just feel the bread and butter of it. Plus 135 Jeremiah Wells, not plus 135 Wellington Carson Harris. So Carson Harris is plus 135. Great odds. The longer fighter, the more technical striker, the more technical grappler. And really, the more successful and experienced fighter, I would say, just based off their track records for overall for higher level competition. And I also think he's the younger fighter as well. So it's a lot of upside on his side, and he's actually the dog. And I know that's going to shift people like, wait, they're going to connect the dots and see the value here, and that value is going to start to go away. But definitely probably could also combo this and make this Carson Harris in the distance, or Carson Harris sub, or TKO. Probably most, well, no, I'll probably say in the distance, because it could easily end in a KO, could easily end in a sub, so probably in the distance, Carson Harris. And maybe just flat out just pick in the distance and Carson Harris in the distance. So if some upset does happen, I mean, not upset, because he's the dog, but if things don't go the way, most likely this fight will end in the distance. But yeah, I like Carson Harris here a lot at plus 135. So very good value. And the clearest dog I could see on this card, and even with further research, I think this is going to be the clearest dog that sticks out to me. So without research and with research, the clearest dog that sticks out. Plus 135, keep a note up. Keep an eye out for Carson Harris. Whether the odds shift, go down, go up, keep an eye out for Carson Harris, is all I'm saying this one. Then I'm just going to mention the main event, just so I get 10 minutes on this video, so I'm not even hiding it. I'm going to just mention the main event. It was another fight I was trying. It's Jake Hadley versus Cody Durden. I just remember the name. So there's my fourth one. I think it's similar to, I'm going to say it's a particular style match. I already mentioned one fight on this card that has that similar style matchup. Oh yeah, Ladova Klein could potentially wrestle, or in the same way with Matthew Semelsberger last week, or a couple days ago, he could potentially wrestle. But is their wrestling really effective? It can kind of get some little points here and there, extend the fight a little bit, but can they effectively wrestle to the point that they could win rounds and win fights with it? No. And I think that's what's going to be the same with Cody Durden in this fight. I feel like Jake Hadley is improving in that area of his game. And the one we lost to Nascimento. Nascimento has the BJJ side as well to control him. It's not just wrestling and take you down and trying to hold you down with no threat of ground and pound, no threat of submission, no threat of taking your back and doing this. It's just literally like take you down and holding you. And also, Durden still has that tendency to slow down and fade off in fights. So yeah, I think I like Jack Hadley a lot there, and I think the value is actually in the hundreds, I believe. Either way, it's lower than it should be, which is a good thing for bettors, especially you get on early. So Jake Hadley, anywhere 200s and below 200, which I think it is below 200 right now, like minus 180, minus 170, 60. I think that's a phenomenal value for Jack Hadley. And Cody Durden, I feel like Jake Hadley could go pretty well in this bit. I think he could end up being like a flyweight Bisping to some extent, maybe better, maybe worse, but I think he could be a guy that could stick around and have success in his weight class. Whereas Cody Durden, he's like a here today, gone tomorrow type fighter. No insult to him, it's just how I feel about him. He's definitely showed improvements, but overall, I think at the elite of this division, he don't bring nothing special, and I don't think he'll ever bring anything special to the elite of this division or any division. So I think Jake Hadley has much more upside, and he's definitely the more polished and more well-rounded fighter, and can make it interesting. Like the initial takedowns could be an issue, but I feel like eventually gonna start slow down, and Hadley's gonna be able to defend them better, and then he's gonna probably be able to get like a late finish or a second round finish, maybe even tap him out. To be honest, so definitely could see a finish. And definitely will see Durden fading, and Hadley fully taking advantage of that. And even at the beginning, I don't think Durden's gonna have such success with his takedowns. It look like, oh, he's in a bad spot. Probably be able to work back to his feet early, and then start to just completely neutralize the takedowns or turn them against him, like get the reversals, take his back, and then start to put him in bad positions. And definitely see Durden when he's put in bad positions, going to start to wilt pretty quickly and make bad mistakes and allow Hadley to fully capitalize on him. But Hadley at the value he is, I think that's a phenomenal steal. So Hadley right now, phenomenal steal right now. So that's the fourth one. And I really don't have to mention the main event, but I would say that should be Sandhagen's fight. I'm not even gonna mention value because the value's not really great right now. I think like almost minus 300. So I think that's a good enough value. Could be a little bit better, but it should be high confidence. Sandhagen should win that one. He's a taller, younger fighter. Not more experienced. He's more experienced than his last opponent of Rob Font. He's had those losses. He had big fights. He had lost in big fights. And now he's starting to shift. He's trying to add new wrinkles to his game. And I feel he can mix it up better than Rob Font. He has beaten like most of the people that have beaten Rob Font. He has finished most of the people that have beaten Rob Font, which is a good MMA math stat. We don't really like to follow that too much, but yeah, I just think overall Sandhagen is the more well-rounded fighter, and will be looking to do more things. I think he could outpace him. I think he can take damage and dish it better. Font has been notably chinny, and getting older ain't gonna help that too much. So he could deal it and dish it better than Rob Font, and he can mix it up more than Rob Font. With Rob Font, he might go for a takedown or two here and there. Then on the ground, he really ain't got much with it. Like he's better than a lot of other guys who would just take you down and don't got nothing with it. He got a little bit with it, but against Sandhagen, I don't feel like his jiu-jitsu is much of a threat to him. And his control is not much of a threat to him. Like his control game, his submission game ain't much of a threat to him. It's better than like some guys that literally got nothing. He definitely got some finesse on the ground. He definitely got some technique. He definitely got some skill, got some polish there for sure. And that's why he's an elite fighter, and he has been an elite fighter, and he's still around now. But I just think Sandhagen is better in that area. And yeah, better in every area. I think the only I would probably say Ralph has better than him is probably no two things. Probably he's low key faster. Definitely got faster hands. Probably the faster guy, and then the better jab. But then I would say everything else other than that Sandhagen is better than him from my assessment. So I like Sandhagen at minus 300. Do I love it? I don't, but I definitely like it, and I definitely like him to win, and probably gonna be a high confident pick when I do make my predictions. So yeah, that's the video. So you got Bahamondes, look out for him. You got Bahamondes, Hadley, Bahamondes, Hadley. So yeah, you got Bahamondes, Lopez, Hadley, and Harris. So Carlson Harris. So Bahamondes, Lopez, Hadley, Carlson Harris. And that's my four for right now. So look into those fighters, keep an eye out for them, track it. And that's the video. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and come back for more videos. Peace.